To another live episode of the Pursuit of Purpose podcast. And the series is called What Are We Doing? And today our topic is
the success trap. Are you chasing the dream or building a legacy?
Man, that sounds so deep.
It does.
Like, are you chasing a dream or building a legacy? And then you have to wonder, so which one's better? And you know, how do you decide if you're chasing a dream or building a legacy? And you know, all these little slogans that people throw around all the time, you know, live your dreams, dreams come true, you know, all these different things.
Dreams.
Yeah, follow your dreams.
Yeah.
Well, at some point in time you got to wake up. Right. So what's the difference in living your dreams and building a legacy? So I mean, if you think about it, you know, if you try to define what is a dream is kind of a fantasy, right? And it's not bad to have a dream, but you have to, at some point, you got to start building it.
That's true. It's one of the things when I often think about dreams, Rob, I think about kind of like reality is a box.
Yeah.
But dream is more like a sphere.
Right.
And so it can morph and grow as it's being filled. And so whenever people like come in for grief work and we're kind of putting their lives back together,
right,
I say, well, give me some of your more ideal things. Just the most ideal place that you'd like to visit, you know, in your current state, or, you know, some ideal experience. And they typically they'll qualify it. Well, yeah, but, and I go, no. If it's just the biggest idea you can think of in the moment, and I explain to them, because it's like a sphere, it could grow. Now, the fixed is I only have so much time in the day. I only have so much energy before I crash.
Right.
You know, those sorts of things. So when I think of dreams, I think of limitless.
Okay. Well, I like that. I like that aspect of it. So, and there's a difference between, you know, looking successful and being fulfilled. And that has a lot to do with the difference in living a dream or building a legacy. Building a legacy, it kind of imparts fulfillment, I believe.
Yeah.
Because you're building something that you're going to be able to look back on and say, man, I'm proud of that. Look what I did. And that's going to live on after me. And that's going to help other people,
right, and
become a part of their life and a part of their legacy.
Almost like there's a portion of it is measurable. Like,
yeah,
I could see it. It's got a tangible amount to it.
Yeah.
And so when I think of something being fulfilled, like a glass, you know, and I can look at this glass and say, okay, it's filling.
Right.
And with every drop of deposit of whatever I do, whatever my if I'm practicing my success plan of the day, you know, because if I have a bit of a success plan, and to us, success, and we talk about this with a lot of our guests, success is not a conclusion. Success is more of a maturing system,
a process.
And so as they are working their process, they can see it every day. Hey, today was a success because I had a number of scenarios came up and I responded to them in my best, most acceptable way.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And, you know, it's an amazing thing. We talk about, you know, looking successful versus being successful or what have you. You know, we hear this word a lot, and I've seen it so many times on social media. You know, there's memes with the word hustle, you know, keep the hustle, stay with the hustle, stay with the grind, things like that.
Right.
And what does it mean? You know, what's the difference between the hustle culture and actually having a purpose-driven life, living with purpose? What's the difference? And one of the things I get concerned with, especially in our clients that come and go from here, and our friends out in the wild, is that we become so consumed with being busy.
Yeah.
We become so consumed with the hustle that we stop realizing that we can be busy all day long with no impact.
Yes.
That there is no measurable substance to what we're doing.
But there's no build.
Right. You're not
There's
building.
No construct.
Yes.
You know, we're just busy. And I guess days get like that sometimes, but I would encourage, and I believe that's what you're doing now, is encourage folks, you know, still look for those measurable deposits. I mean,
right.
Like, I did something toward this. You know, you and I are always working on content. Well, we never really get to the end, but we can produce some content. So maybe we're pre-recording, or I know you and I write. And so if I made some efforts toward my writing, well, that to me is building, because once I do it, I typically don't have to do it again. You know, I'm working toward, but just to be busy.
Right.
I mean,
how many times have you gotten through a day? And I hear other people talk about this too. They get through a day and you'll ask them, well, how'd your day go? Or what'd you get done today? Man, I was just so busy. I don't feel like I got anything done, but I was sure busy.
Right. I've been busy all day.
Now you got to think about that. If you stack up, 300 of those days, imagine what are you building with your life?
Yeah.
If you're just busy.
It doesn't seem like much because all I did was just almost like I'm running in the circle. Did you get anywhere today? Well, I guess I put in a lot of steps.
And I don't believe that's what we're built for.
Absolutely not.
I don't believe that's what this life is for. And I challenge people. I really hope our audience takes hold of this challenge that if you're living your life just to be busy, if you're living in the hustle, if you're not living with purpose, on purpose, for a purpose, what are you doing?
Right.
And I challenge you to examine yourself, find that purpose.
And I want to ask that question. And let's say we're talking to folks, maybe if you're in our audience today and you're visiting with, someone important to you, and you say, well, how was your day? You say, I was just full of busy work. Okay. Well, and maybe a good follow-up question would be, well, some days are like that. So how does your busy work contribute to your better days? And so see if they can come up with some kind of response with you. And this is just being a helpful friend. Say, well, I kind of did a lot of paperwork today because tomorrow I got this really cool. There you go. Now I'm setting myself up for a deposit of success or fulfillment.
So I would love to hear, somebody out there in the audience answer this question. What does a successful day look like? To you, just a day? Paint a picture of that. Use words to do it, and send that to us. I see we've got quite a few guests that have joined us. Buddy Boy, Billy, a name, all these different names. They're kind of funny when you see them pop up on the screen. But we'd love to hear from you. If you're looking at this or listening to this podcast, whatever resource you're using for it, chime in. Let us know, what is a successful day? What does it look like to you? Paint a picture of that. Does it mean that you made $100 that day? Does it mean that you created 5 widgets that day? Did you have a good weld that day? Did you, whatever it is, just what does a successful day look like for you? And I would love to hear how that compares to other people.
Yes.
Did you make it home safe at the end of the day? When I was practicing law enforcement, that was one of the big telltale signs of a successful day is that you made it home.
Right.
You survived another shift.
Right.
But I always really felt successful when I was able to bring calm to someone else's storm.
Yeah.
Because in law enforcement, that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with people in their worst moments and their worst times in life.
Right.
And if I could have been a contributor to bring a little bit of calm in that horrifying storm, then I felt like I had lived my purpose for that day.
Yeah.
So what's your day look like? Have you got an example? Has anybody out there that have you got a contributing story to tell or anything that might be relatable to others? It's just it's a fascinating thing sometimes to know that you're not alone.
Yes.
For someone to hear, man, their story or their mindset sounds a lot like me.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of us become attracted to certain influential things. Like we can share the same book with a lot of different friends, or maybe some of our material, those sorts of things, is because it is relatable. Many of us are not that differentiated from others. Occasionally people do get into some extraordinary situations. I know that happens a lot. Why people seek us for coaching and counseling, because something got a little bit beyond their grasp and they're just trying to strengthen themselves to get their hands fully wrapped around it. And that's may require reviewing the system. Well, what system are you currently applying? And is there something that you could be doing differently or better? You don't have to, do a complete overhaul, but maybe there's some pivots and adjustments for sure. Yeah. So, and that's okay. That's the reason people come in, is because things do get outside of our ordinary. And like most of us, I'm pretty sure folks in our audience are the same. I kind of like ordinary every now and then. And the ordinary may be high end. You still may be a pretty active person, but that is your ordinary. And every now and then gets a little bit beyond it. So, to pivot and grow. And maybe that's part of the success story of the day. Hey, I was able to pivot toward, this challenge. that I didn't see coming, and I felt like I did okay. And that'd be a great story to tell.
Yeah, that'd be another thing I'd be really curious about. Are any of you out there facing any particular challenging circumstances that anyone, maybe we could help with, or anyone else in the audience might be able to help with, that they've lived through it before? A lot of times we think we're isolated. We think we're unique. We're the only ones.
Yeah.
No one else knows what we're going through. And the sad thing is, it's not true.
That's right.
And that's one of the beautiful things about social media, and what it's brought about is the entire world is a click away. You may not want the entire world in your life, but there's always somebody out there that has had a similar or even identical experience to that of what you're dealing with. And sometimes it helps to hear how others dealt with it.
That's right. One of the things that we often deal with when we get asked to come in and do consulting for different companies is there's a bit of a burnout factor. Folks are they're starting to reach levels of empty, I should say. Maybe they're not completely empty as a staff member or as a leader, but they're feeling that sense of emptiness. And what causes that sense of burnout? And I think we are, I guess you could say, we're levels of effectiveness type people. We work up to a certain level of effectiveness. And if we stay there a little longer than anticipated, and we like to anticipate, I think, a little bit, to say, okay, this is a project. It's going to take so long. It's going to take these resources. And once my mind gets geared around it, I'm actually pretty good. Now, I might compare that to a friend's story, and they may see it as something completely overwhelming as I'm telling the story, but you're like, no, not really to me. I mean, it's kind of my norm. But if I get beyond that norm or stay there too long, now I'm burning out. That doesn't mean we're not successful. That just means we may have to make a few adjustments to reclaim what success is now going to look like.
So have you ever experienced burnout?
Absolutely. And I know one of the phrases I wrote in preparation for our show today was, there's been a couple of situations, maybe more than a couple, definitely a few, where I felt like my grace kind of ran out for certain situations. Maybe.
So what does that mean? Your grace ran out?
So if I'm working in a certain environment and with, certain people, certain projects or whatever, and I'm all about it there for a while. And then at some point, it's almost like I can tolerate I enjoy about 80 to 90% and I tolerate the rest. But it's tolerable. Anywhere from 10 to 20% of it, I grace for that because I really get to do this other stuff. But when that grace starts to feel more like 25, 30, 35, 40%, now it's starting to hurt. Now I'm not enjoying it. And that may be not necessarily a negative indictment. It may just be time to move forward. Go to something else.
Okay.
Move on.
So burnout's maybe a challenge for growth.
Certainly. I think of a lot of the folks we've interviewed, if you guys want to go back and look at some of these amazing people, a lot of them were reinventors, personal reinventors, partly because of those experiences. They kind of reached a point where they said, I enjoy it, but I don't think I want to do this anymore. Well, they've lost their grace to some degree.
Okay.
And they're ready to move forward. So that to me is an example of where burnout can actually be kind of a positive and not necessarily a negative. It's not a fault. It just may be time to refresh.
That's fascinating. That's good. I like that. I hadn't gained that particular perspective. So that's helpful to me. I personally have experienced what I thought, to be burnout. Mm-hmm. And as a result, I adopted the mindset. I adopted the mindset that I was a great starter and a bad ender. Because I have a tendency to get really excited, really passionate about a project and get into it and then hit a snag or somebody gets negative or even I start feeling discouraged about it. Mm-hmm. And then I start picking it apart and feeling like it's not going to work, and I'll just stop and move on. Mm-hmm. And I always thought of it as kind of a form of burnout, mm-hmm. but it's interesting that you put it that way. It's a challenge for growth to either move forward or move on. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'm not a horrible ender. Maybe I need to change my perspective.
For sure. For sure. No, you're not a horrible ender. Absolutely not. But maybe it does require us, though, to go, like you say, you're referencing probably a number of memories right this minute about different projects. You say, you know, if I had a chance to maybe go through some of those again, I might have had a bit of a different, you know, game plan going into it. So, because I guarantee you, most of us are ideal people, and I know a lot of folks that are on our call today are ideal people.
Right.
Well, if I'm going to sit here and ruminate all through the night for several weeks, man, I got this thing out to its full conclusion. I mean, I'm talking about, you know, how I'm going to expand it and make money and all these other cool experiences. And then when they don't perfectly fall in, like I probably skip gaps of what that's going to look like along the way. Then maybe I fill those gaps in the beginning, and I'm like, okay, I need another book. I need another idea.
Right.
It kind of light me up a little bit. And so I might just push that aside and go into something else.
Well, it's fascinating you said bump. Now, I've heard that term used in a lot of shady contexts, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But
that wasn't by accident.
Yeah. So I was dealing with a concept yesterday, and I've been working on this project, this new idea that I've got. I've been working on it for the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, maybe a month. And I've been really excited about it. And yesterday, I was at a point where I was starting to kind of, for the day, at least for the day, I was starting to kind of fizz out. And I felt like I was at a plateau. I was kind of dulled. My edge had been lost. Mm-hmm. And I had a phone conversation with a friend of mine, and he changed my perspective just this ever so tiny little bit. And it totally rejuvenated my excitement.
Nice.
Like it totally relit my interest in what I was doing. And I was up almost all night. Like I was up late into the night still after it, like I am when I'm fresh into something.
Yeah.
So it feels so good. And sometimes when you feel that concept of burnout take hold, the idea, all you might need is just a little bit of a change of perspective.
Yeah.
Maybe get an outsider's input into your circumstance so that you can feel relit.
Yes.
Get that little bump, as you say.
Get that little bump. Yeah.
Yep. That is fascinating.
Yes.
So
please don't judge my references, friends.
So out there, and guys, just in case you don't know this, we are live now on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live on X. We're live on TikTok. And we want to do better. We want to do better for you, our audience. We want to bring you topics that bring value to you, bring real life impact, things that you can take away and you feel like you've benefited from being a part of the show. So we really would love to hear from you. If you're watching this show today, thank you. Thank you for being here with us. We hope that you'll subscribe, follow, like, and share all of our content. But more than that, we want to hear what matters to you. What are you going through in life? What are topics? And we won't out you if you don't want to be outed. We won't tell everybody that it was you that told us that. And we want to be of service to you.
Well, understand, Rob was just using an example from just the last 24 hours of how one person, we have a host of friends that we have, among our business friends, just a chat on the phone. And one suggestion changed everything for, moving forward to some degree.
Yes.
Well, that's what your suggestions, your content, your feedback will do. I guarantee you it happens all the time. I mean, we don't have to identify. We can say, hey, here was a comment from somebody. And you have it. You have a treasure. You have a diamond. You have a value inside there. And that little bit of sharing, that one person hears it or a handful of folks, and they're like, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. The best thing I've heard today. And it would have come from you. So, hey, let us be a vessel for that. We'd love to help.
So we really appreciate you guys. If there is anything, don't hesitate. Don't hesitate at all. Thank you guys for allowing us to become a part of the pursuit of your purpose. We'll be back here live next Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Sorry, we were a little bit late today. Not too bad. But we'll see you guys next Tuesday at 10 o'clock for another episode of the What Are We Doing series right here from Pursuit of Purpose. I'm Rob.
I'm Chuck.
And we'll talk soon. Y'all have a great day.